welcome to A Better Way to Food Truck podcast. I'm your host, Jay McFarland. Today, I am very excited to introduce you to Brandon Patterson. He and his wife are the owners of Beer Bones BBQ. Now, you're going to love his story about how he just started out wanting to compete in barbecue competitions, and that has turned into a thriving business. Now, this podcast is produced and sponsored by OrderUp Apps. If you're looking for a better way to food truck, look no further than OrderUp Apps for your ordering and marketing needs. They are official Square partners, and they offer custom branded ordering apps and marketing tools for food truck owners. Get your 14-day free trial at OrderUpApps.com today. All right, Brandon, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show today. I'm always fascinated what leads people down the path of owning and operating a food truck. Did you always want to do this, or is it something you kind of stumbled into?
Nah, about 7 years ago, I would have never thought that we would have had a food truck, okay, right now. 7 years ago, my wife was going through nursing school and I was bored. Okay. So, what I asked her was, hey, there's and I've always grilled and smoked, but, I said, there's a barbecue competition coming up here in our hometown, and what do you think about that? And her response was, I don't care, get out of my way and let me study. I was like, okay. So I went out, and got some advice from some of the local guys and everything, about how it works and all of that. And we went to our first competition, and I got dead last every single category. It wasn't that I didn't know how to cook the food. It's just that I got in my own head and just, spooked myself, so dead last in that competition. And Jess, the same person that said, get out of my face, I'm trying to study, said that if you're going to keep doing this, you need to make sure that you get out of your head, and do the thing, and so we did. And every competition that we did after that, we did well at. We're never out of the top five in that competition, and even the next year at that same competition, we came back and we won first place all the way across every single category, grand champion. So we did a lot of learning and a lot of trial and error and things, and I still can't do a competition worth a dang except unless she's there, because she's the one that reminds me to get out of my head. So it just started there. I was bored. We decided to do competitions, and from there, people just wanted food. So I had to figure out how to do all that, with the health department and all the regulations and all that stuff, which that's a feat in itself. So but really that's kind of how it started.
So really just a hobby, just learning how to do it for yourself. Yeah. And then learning how to compete in these competitions. I'm sure there's tips and tricks you learned along the way that really have an impact in a competition versus selling to people out of a food truck.
Right, because competition food, like especially barbecue, competition barbecue is totally different than you would ever sell out of a food truck or even do in your backyard. Because in that competition, these judges get one bite. And in that one bite, you better smack them across the face with flavor and that. Whereas, the food truck, it's totally different. It's like you and me eating out in the backyard, and that's what we want to try to do. That's what we do in our food truck. We don't do like all the competition type barbecue. We do craft barbecue, handmade, scratch made, as best we can. And if it's got a good flavor profile, we'll send it out the window. But that's kind of what we do. Everything that we serve out of here is fresh made by us, and we ship it.
That's fantastic. I'm curious, going from competition to food truck, that's a huge leap. How did you, was it all just trial and error? Did you have somebody help you with the process?
Well, we were under tents for 5 years. Like I said, we were doing the competitions, and then people started to want our food. I'd love to try it, and I'm one of those guys that if I'm going to put a lot of work into something, I want to get a reward for it. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to work for free. So we kind of figured it out. We got the licensing and the permitting and stuff from the health departments and stuff, and we just started pitching up tents, and that we would cater here and there, but we would do like different events where we would set our tents up, even while we were competing, and sell food, and I can remember this one time we were over in Fort Branch, Indiana, And I don't know what kind of storm it was, had to have been a tornado somewhere, but we were holding our 20-foot by 10-foot tent down with ropes. It was like we felt like Lieutenant Dan up on that mast in Forrest Gump, and it was like it was that hard of a rain and all that. But we were under tents for 5 years, and we had a storm similar to that not long ago. It was like the end of 2020. Okay, and my wife, she's like, we're not going to be under tents next year, and so it was. I've always wanted a food truck after we started selling and stuff, but I knew that she probably wouldn't go for it at the time because we just weren't there yet. Well, when she was, I didn't say no. So, but that's kind of how we did it. We went from competing into doing a little bit of catering here and there. And then we were doing like little festivals and setups and stuff like that underneath tents for about 5 years. And then eventually last year in 2021, we finally finished Jed, which is our food truck, our trailer.
You call it Jed?
Yeah, his name's Jed. Granny's over on the porch. She's always smoking. I've got Jethro in the yard. He's a big, big smoker. I don't have Ellie Mae yet. Kind of a theme there.
Yeah, I love it. If people are, maybe for the younger generation, maybe you go watch some Beverly Hillbillies and they'll catch everything
right.
you're talking about. Now, it's got to be a huge commitment. I mean, hobby to tents and catering, now a truck. You're talking about huge expense, and I'm sure another learning curve. So you're going through, every few years you're doing this new learning curve thing. How did you figure that all out?
Well, it's baby steps, honestly. I mean, like whenever we were selling and stuff like that, our goal was to put stuff. We've never borrowed a dime for our business ever. It honestly started out with a couple $100 just vending. And from that $100, we just kept rolling it over. And every year we would put the profits back into the business because we both had jobs, and we were doing our thing. She's a nurse, and then I was doing what I was doing. And the important thing there was we didn't just go waste it. We put it back. Like the first year we bought equipment. We bought some Cambros. We bought some warmers, bought those tents I was talking about. The second year, I want to say it was the big smoker we have, our big rotisserie and everything. One of the years we got a used Yukon that we used to pull that smoker around, and now this trailer. But we just kept building on that and everything, and we didn't take any bank loans or anything out for what we have. We just put it back into it. And then ultimately the food truck and everything, we went, I think myself and another food truck friend of mine, Tim Kolb, he owns Kolb Culinary Creations over in Lawrenceville. He uses the app too, by the way. But he and I went down almost to Alabama to get it. It was like really backwoods Tennessee. I mean, you could hear the fiddles playing. It was backwoods, okay? So, but when we got there, the food trailer, I mean, to me, it looked like a bunch of junk, okay? But it had good bones. It was a steel structure on the outside, and Tim was like, man, chin up. You got this. We're taking it home. We did it. And myself, my dad, and a good family friend rebuilt this thing and put a whole entire new kitchen in it and everything over the winter of 2021 or 2020. And then in 2021, about April, we cut the ribbon, and here we are. So it was a progression, for that. It wasn't like an overnight thing, and you've got to be patient. If you're not patient, it's not the business for you. So, but that's pretty well how that progression worked.
Wow. And so you've got a truck, you're ready to go. There's a lot of food truck business models. There's those who just cater events. There's those who just drive around and have a route. How did you decide what you were going to do, and what did you land on?
Well, we never really, and I know it was bad not to, we never really had a plan to do one or the other. We just wanted to make sure that if people needed food, we got it to them. So in 2021, whenever we got the trailer built and everything, we had so much catering lined up that we could barely even get the trailer out. We probably had the trailer out maybe 10, 15 times in 2021 and everything. It's only because we had so much catering we had to do. In 2022, we're working more with a schedule. I mean, we're in several counties around the area, and we have generally Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we try to make sure that we're a route, every other week at a different town, stuff like that. And then Friday's special days or the weekends have festivals or catering. As far as that goes. Now, we've also implemented food truck catering this year as well. We have a separate, menu for your traditional catering. And then, that's, what it is. And then we've got the food truck catering where you can choose X amount of items off of our food truck list. And we'll bring Jed out there, we'll set it up and whatever you pay for, we bring and we do it that way. So that there's two different kinds of catering that we do now because of having the food truck. Wow, so we pretty well, whoever needs food, we give it to them.
I got to tell you, I'm super impressed. You're starting a business from scratch. You started from competition, you moved into catering and now to food trucks. And on top of that, you were trying to start a business during a pandemic. How did that impact you and your progress?
Well, honestly, a lot of them, because we were not a brick and mortar business, we were not tied to the same regulations as what they were because we were outdoors. So our catering and like at that time, our food trucking and stuff like that, because in 2020, remember, we're still under tent, so it's still open air, so we really didn't get impacted as much as a lot of them did. Now, some of them with an actual truck, they did, but we were in tents and it was in open air. And if the customer was willing to have us there, we were willing to go. We threw on a mask and went, and it really didn't affect us as much as it did. Now, I've got friends that have lost their businesses because of it, and it's an unfortunate thing. But we really didn't feel that much of that impact as what a lot of them did. And it's mainly because, if you know me, I'm not really scared of a whole lot. If I get sick, I was meant to get sick. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those deals. It wasn't that I didn't take any credence to it, but it was like I had a family to feed, so that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, you're not the first food truck operator that has told me the pandemic actually helped them, because people still wanted to be able to get lunch or eat out, but they couldn't do it in the normal restaurant. So lining up outside of a food truck made a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I think that's honestly where the big boom is coming from, because whenever we first started doing this, there were food trucks, but it wasn't like it wasn't the big thing, but it is now, and I'm just fortunate enough, our family is, to have already had our name out there. So whenever we do roll around, people are like, hey, that's that guy, So, it seemed to help us a little bit.
Well, I really love that. I'm curious, what is next for you? You seem like somebody who's always working on the next project or the next big thing.
If we do anything different, it'll be another food truck. We're not going to do a restaurant. It's just not something I'm interested in because I'd be married to it. Right now, I can go where I want, when I want. I make plenty of, stuff to support the family. My wife and I both do this full time, and it's just something that I love. My wife's a nurse by trade. She wouldn't be able to be home and doing her, right now she's doing her online course for medical coding, and she wouldn't be able to sit home and do that if we didn't do this. So it's just something that this is what we're doing, and we don't really have any interest in going into a brick and mortar or anything like that. So if we do expand, it'll be another trailer. It won't be like going into, a brick and mortar or anything like that. Cause I like being mobile. I like having the freedom, to do what I want when I want,
Absolutely.
So that's so.
Yeah, very good. So I'm curious, you've kind of gone through all the steps. Somebody out there watching this, listening, thinking about a food truck, best advice for them that you could give them?
We've made a lot of mistakes. If I had any good advice for that, I would say be patient. Don't just jump out there and do it. Baby steps. Make sure you know what you're going to do before you do it. Don't just go buying a food truck and then hope it works, because we were 5 years underneath tents. Don't be afraid to do that. Get wet, get cold, get hot, be uncomfortable. That way you can appreciate having the truck or the trailer or whatever. Don't just jump right into it and throw a bunch of money at it. $200 is what we started with. And now we have a food truck and we have a catering company, and stuff like that. It's not something that builds itself overnight, so don't be afraid of failing either, because I failed a ton and we still do, but it's something, learn from those mistakes and be patient is really what I would say.
Well, and you really kind of created a model, whether it was accidental genius or whatever. You learned how to make a product that people like first. You proved the system and the methodology, and you created a name for yourself before you even went into tents through competitions. And then through the tents, you created a bigger name for yourself. So when that food truck came, you couldn't even use it as much as you wanted to because you had created that demand. I think that's a powerful model for people to think about.
Well, I mean, it's something, it was, you were right, 100% accident. I mean, it wasn't something we set out to do. It went from me being bored to me not having any time to do anything but cook. Yeah. So, but, the biggest thing for us is we do scratch made food, the best possible products we can buy, to be able to, that we can afford to be able to put out the good food. That's where it starts. If you don't have a good beginning product, your end product it's not going to be any better. But we try to do different too. I mean, we've got items on our menu that nobody does, or at least they didn't do whenever we started. They do now, but it's not ours, and we try to we put our own spin on things and make sure that, we do barbecue, but we do it differently, or at least we try to. And a lot of folks, they appreciate what we put out.
Well, and I can tell you have a passion for what you do. This isn't just a business for you. You have a real passion for the product and for the business model that you've chosen.
Yeah, we've everything from our spice blends, our sauces, which we have 9 of now. It's crazy, to the raspberry infused lemonade, the sweet tea, all of that stuff. It's made by us. It's not just out of a box or something like that. And we spend a lot of time before we put it out to figure out what we want to do. The latest product that we had, 2 products actually. One of them is a rib gumbo, a smoked rib gumbo. Now, we didn't come out with that idea on our own. There's a local place here in the area that does a rib tip gumbo, but theirs is more like a soup. Well, we kind of did our own little version of that, and people love it. That and banana pudding, that's just a barbecue staple for a dessert, and we do a scratch made version of that, and it's just been going over like gadzooks. It's nuts. But if you put out good food, people are going to show up. And that's the biggest thing that we've learned.
Well, I love that. I love that. Now, I know you also use an app, OrderUp Apps. They're the sponsor of this podcast. Tell me about the app, how you use it, and how it helps you.
It took some getting used to. I mean, I have screwed up so much on that app, but you've got to know what you're doing with the app, and stuff like that. And the developer of that app, Simon, he's just fantastic. If you got a question, message him, he'll take care of you. But that app is probably boosted our sales, I want to say probably at least 30%, because every time we get in this, we do a event or whatever, I'll put the menu out I'll put the menu out on Facebook a few days early, but then I'll put the menu up on the app 2 or 3 hours early from our event. We've got a whole line of tickets, and people, and like if they don't want to stand in the weather, if they're short on lunches, lunchtime, just anything, it helps them save time. And that's kind of what we wanted to do. We were in some towns that had some factories, had some hospitals, and things, and they all had shortened lunch periods. And we use that app specifically for that kind of a client, and everything. And then, we use it for a little bit of advertising as well, because we put some of our merchandise on there and different things. But that app for us has single-handedly boosted our sales, like I say, probably at least 30%, and probably more in some areas. I just haven't gone through the metrics yet, but we love that app.
Yeah, it's tremendous. A lot of the food truck operators that I talk to have it. One of their benefits is you can get that queue of food going before they've even come to your truck. But otherwise, you have to wait, and you can't do anything until they've placed an order, and that makes a big difference. Absolutely.
Yeah, like I say, I'll open that app. I'll do a Facebook Live because I've got, I don't know, 2,600 people that Facebook Live goes to right now. And I was like, hey guys, it's open, in the app, and you can send push notifications on it. That's the biggest thing for me, is because I can let the clients know that, hey, your food is done. Come and get it. I realize it's snowing or it's raining or whatever. Don't stand in that line. Come and get it. Here it is. Boom. There you are. Go back to work. And the push notifications and all of that. It's just, he's got a good product. They're really good. We don't even use half of the options that he can do, only because I just haven't had time to go through them yet. And it's so affordable, because like the level that we're on, you can go all the way up and get it, and I think you can get everything that he's got for, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this, but from what I was looking at, maybe $100 and below. Ours is around the $20 range for what we do. It's perfect, and he can a la carte tailor that thing to your business. So it's a really good product.
That's fantastic. Well, listen, it's such a pleasure getting to know you. I love your passion for what you do, and I can tell it doesn't feel like work as much as it does. You just kind of love serving great food, making people happy, and working with your wife. I mean, what a perfect situation for you.
Yeah, the day it becomes a job is the day that I'll probably hang it up, but right now, I'm just enjoying the ride, and Jess, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. Working with your wife is a great thing, and I couldn't honestly do this without her. She is the backbone to this whole operation. I handle the meats, she handles the sides, and we do it together. But to be able to do it together is just a blessing for me, and it's just one of them things that, like you said, I'm passionate about, and it's not a job, but the day that it becomes one is the day that I'll hang it up and go find something else.
Well, who knew? All those years ago, you were just going to enter a competition, and look at where you're at now. What a great story.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. We're just one of many people out here trying to survive and feed our kids and everything, and this is how I keep my youngest one in travel softball and my oldest one in scouting, and this is what we do to pay the bills.
That's awesome. Well, it's been such a pleasure getting to know you. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
I appreciate it.
Well, once again, I want to thank Brandon Patterson for sharing his incredible story of going from just having a desire to have a hobby to cook, to then competitions, to then serving out of a tent, and now to food trucks. I love his passion, and that he's found a way to support his family and be together and provide a great product at the same time. Now, this podcast is produced and sponsored by OrderUp Apps. If you're looking for a better way to food truck, look no further than OrderUp Apps for your ordering and marketing needs. They are official Square partners, and they offer custom branded ordering apps and marketing tools made for food truck operators. Now, get your 14-day free trial at OrderUpApps.com today. My name is Jay McFarland, and this has been another edition of A Better Way to Food Truck Podcast.